Hey everyone, this is Jack Bourne, founder of Deadline Funnel. Today I have with me Diane Cunningham. She is a master's level coach and former therapist who mentors Christian women, entrepreneurs using her create, market, deliver method, helping them to create communities, courses, and coaching programs. She's the author of 10 books, a plane crash survivor, and an action-taking maestro. Diane, great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Jack. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So why don't we start with I'm just dying to hear this story about you surviving the plane crash. What's that all about?
Sure. Yeah, it was about 10 years ago, I guess 11 maybe now. My first husband was a private pilot. And so we went up in this, 172, I think it's Cessna 172. And as we were landing, this was my first time. I mean, let me set the stage. This was my first time up in the
Oh,
plane with
wow.
him. He was a brand new pilot. So there was, he was nervous. I'm very nervous. And as we are coming down to land, we hit a wind gust, which I'm sure a more experienced pilot would, recover from. But just, luck of the draw and, newbie, it clipped the wing, like the wing dipped
Oh,
and
wow.
hit the runway, like a runway sign. And basically we ended up sliding across the runway, a field, and another runway on the belly of the plane. And we were not that, it's not like we dropped all the way from the sky,
Mhm.
but it was still, by the end, by the time the plane stopped, it was very loud. If you're in any type of crash, there's a lot of noise and you're like, you don't really realize what's going on. But at the end, we did what they call as a nose dip, or nose up. And then we dropped. And so I look at myself, you alive, alive? Yes. Blood? No. You alive? Blood? No. Okay. And just, we got out of the plane because my first thought is this thing could light on fire, right? So the plane was totaled and we were both fine. I did break one of my fake fingernails, but that's okay. But it was just really, I mean, it's an interesting story. And, not many people can say that they survived a plane crash. And I know a lot of those small planes, those crashes they don't go well.
Mm.
They don't
Yeah.
go well in a small plane. And so it was a wake up call for me about my purpose, my life, my journey. And I always jokingly say that did not cause the divorce that he and I had a year later.
Right.
We were married 10 years and we did the best we could, and we're friends. But yeah, it was an interesting life experience.
Yeah, my brother-in-law is a pilot, and so last time that we were in the States, I went up in his plane, and the first thing, being a guy who's 6'4" and well over 200 pounds, the first thing that I realized is there's not a whole lot of space in these things.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely not made for football player size folks. But then the second thing is that there's not, other than the engine, there's not a whole lot of plane there. So I get what
Yes.
you're saying. Like, you're going, I don't know how many, if it's not hundreds of miles per hour, certainly over 100 miles per hour. And there's not a whole lot. There's no airbags or anything like that. So wow, that's harrowing. It's amazing that you guys both walked away from that
Yeah.
relatively unscathed. That's incredible. Was
Yeah.
there, not to take us too far off topic because we're here to talk about business, but was there like did you have to talk with the FAA, or was that his?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He got investigated by the FAA and had to recertify. And, I mean, it was a rental plane.
Hmm.
So, we're both entrepreneurs, like somebody had to total their plane and that wasn't fun. But yeah, the FAA was involved. And to fast forward just a few months ago, I went on a plane again. This is, it's one thing to go on a small plane. It's fine, bigger planes, there's a lot more, room. And I went back up in a small plane and made it and survived, and feel like I conquered a fear, because getting back up in one of those planes was certainly not on my list of to-dos right after that.
So you mentioned this really had an impact on you and took your life in a certain direction. So tell me about that.
Yeah. Um, wow. Well, I mean, it certainly, like I said, it is a wake up call when you think, wow, didn't expect that. And I'm sorry, I just got like emotional because something else came up. But yeah, it just really grounds you. I mean, that's an interesting way to put it, grounding. But it's just like, what am I called to do? What am I here for? Why is this business matter?
Mhm.
Because I believe that we're all entrepreneurs for a bigger purpose. And so I guess it refocused me on the women I serve, which are Christian women entrepreneurs. And during that time, I created and founded the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs. And so I was running that organization, and we were about to have our first national conference. And I'm just like, my marriage is flinging off the runway as well. And just a lot of who am I and what matters, and what's worth spending time on, I guess. So just a lot of those things when same thing. One of my clients just got a scary diagnosis. And these are the things makes me think, okay, do what you have every single day with the people that you're called to serve. Does that
Mhm.
make sense, Jack?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think about this a lot, but I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk about you. But no, I do think about this a lot in movies that focus on carpe diem and really you know you know making the most out of every moment really speak to me. So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I could see how an event like a plane crash would really give you a wake up call. So that you're taking a look at what you were called to do, and so tell me about your business. So you help Christian women. What do you help them? What do you help your clients do?
Yeah, so I started with that association. Well, let me back up. I was a counselor in my past life. I was a counselor. I have my master's in counseling, and that changed dramatically. This is what you triggered a minute ago. I had a client that committed suicide way back, and it changed the course of my career. I got sued by his wife and went through this whole legal battle. And so it shifted me. I lost my counseling career, and that shifted me into the coaching realm, long before Deadline Funnel was a thing. Right. But I began to serve the women in front of me, right? And so I still do that. I coach women. I have a mastermind that I offer to women who are creating courses, communities, and coaching offers. And so there's 14 women in that right now. And then I have a brand new membership. Every so often I start a membership, end a membership. I sold the first one 5 years ago, the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs. But I'm just, as we know, as entrepreneurs, we're constantly, starting things. And if we finish things, it's a miracle. so,
So true.
but, uh, but yeah, I love helping Christian women to build what they're called to build and serve their people. And I do that with the mastermind and private coaching.
And one of the things that we mentioned in the intro is that you've got some intellectual property called the Create, Market, Deliver method. Why don't you talk about that and how that helps you serve your clients?
Sure. Yeah, I finally realized that one of my frameworks is basically this three parts. We have to create. A lot of my women struggle with the brave part, the mindset. A lot of fear, a lot of overthinking, and a lot of perfectionism and chaos and drama. So it's one thing to create, but we have to actually go market. We can create all day, but I have to go market, and then I have to deliver my program. And we're going to do that on repeat. Create,
Mhm.
whether it's a course, program, group, challenge, webinar, whatever it is, I have to create it, market, and deliver it. So I just constantly am bringing them back to that, to teach that. And then I'm always bringing them back. I call it my brave recipe. And it's to, number one, be real. Number two, ask for help. And number three, to take action. because those things are going to change those things are going to help you keep on serving who you're called to serve.
Yeah. So which one of those in the Brave recipe do you think your clients and most female entrepreneurs struggle with the most?
I think they struggle with the asking for help.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And why would you guess that is?
Well, we all think we know. We all think we know, or we all think we can Google it. And we don't want to admit that we don't know. We don't want to admit defeat or confusion or chaos or uncertainty. And we certainly don't want to admit that in front of our peers, because that could be my potential client in my group, right? So I really want to show them that vulnerability is power. Vulnerability is power. I just had my 9-year sobriety date. I'm sober 9 years. And so I'm very vocal about that. I've written, some of my books are about that. And I make it very clear on my pages that this is a part of my story. If I wasn't vulnerable, if I was living a double life before, it'd be silly to live a double life when I've been set free, right? So I really want to teach them that asking for help, which means getting the coaching or hiring the VA or whatever, going to the nutritionist, calling the counselor, is going to get you there faster, and with less anxiety and probably a lot less potholes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, why reinvent the wheel? Like travel the path that's already been paved for you, especially when people like you are there looking to help someone on the journey. Like, we don't have to do this all by ourselves.
Right.
Speaking of which, as you're working with your clients, do you find that there are any other mindset issues that typically hold entrepreneurs back?
Yeah. I really think a lot of them, and myself included, sometimes we forget we're an expert. I mean, I can forget, I've written 10 books. That's kind of a big deal, right? I mean, we forget our own expertise. And so I really want to teach them about that, because I can get into comparing myself to everybody on Facebook or everybody on LinkedIn and somehow not measure up. So I often want to remind them and myself of my expertness and the asking for help, which we already talked about, and then just that action taking, that I'm going to learn by going. I'm going to learn by doing the webinar, not by reading about yours or attending another 5-day challenge with somebody else. I have to actually host my own.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to get my women out the door into imperfectness and get them used to discomfort, because really that if you can survive all that, you're going to make it in entrepreneur land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stepping outside that comfort zone is absolutely critical. And I can, a few minutes ago, you were talking about, we can build, but you have to get out there and market. That's something that I can certainly relate to, is that it's always it's easier to always be thinking about, oh, well, I'm going to this needs to be a little bit more perfect. And certainly we don't want to put shabby and things with too many rough edges out into the world. But I think if we're being honest with ourselves, a lot of times it's way too easy to just be stuck in our workshop or in our, in our garage, so to speak, and just working on our product and working on our coaching program and working on getting our messaging, but never actually putting it in front of someone who might actually say no, but they also might actually say yes.
Right.
And learning from that experience. So I think, the fastest way to learn, like you were saying, is to learn by doing. And sometimes that means that we're going to learn from what didn't work. But
Exactly.
The faster we learn, the quicker we can figure this thing out and get to something that's going to scale.
Yeah.
Anything else that has been something that has been a big insight that you've learned or that you've helped your clients with along the way?
Well, I just always go back to, I'm a big component of one day at a time, and it's kind of cheesy, but just do what you can today, right? I mean, we can really get caught up, like you were saying, in the future, and future tripping. Oh, it's going to be ready when, or I'll be ready when. Let's put it out there today. Let's kind of be messy. Let's go, let's bring them into the workshop, invite them in, let them help me create it. And that just really has been the key to my success, is that I'm willing to fail. I'm willing to fail again and again, because then I'm going to succeed. Mm-hmm. And that's what, I create faster than I should. My team gets pissed off, not pissed off, but they're like, oh Lord, there she goes. But, that's my, one of my highest giftings is just this activator thing. And which means I'm going to I'm going to stumble down the road, but that's better than me watching the road go by. Mm-hmm. So I just would want to leave with that just encouragement to do what you can, do it today.
So obviously, I want to talk about who would be right to join your group or to seek you out. So obviously Christian women, but at what stage of their business journey are you able to come in and help someone the most? Is it at any stage? Is it at the very, very beginning stage? Is it after they've got something going, but they've hit a roadblock? What is a good signal that someone should be seeking you out?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have now two paths. I have really a starter path, which is my membership, which is called the Business Breakthrough Society. And that is really more for the starters in my world. And then the scalers that are ready to go to the next level and take it up bigger. That would be my mastermind, which is called the Inspired Business Inner Circle. And so that's been helpful to have those two places. And those are the spots I would recommend. And especially women that want to build a course, a coaching program, or create a community that houses both.
Awesome. And where should people go to find you?
DianeCunningham.com.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Diane, this has been great. I'm so glad that your story ended happily. When we started the story about the plane crash, I was actually a little bit worried. I'm like, oh gosh, I don't even know if everyone turns out okay. But I'm glad the story had a very happy ending and was a catalyst to you really figuring out how you wanted to show up and serve your audience. So thank you so much for sharing your experience. And anyone who resonates with this message, go seek out Diane at DianeCunningham.com.
Thank you so much, Jack.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.